Alright, so the premiere of the new season of Drag Race is coming up. I'm sure I will do a video talking about the new queens. But today I wanted to do a video talking about some of my favorite moments in Drag Race and also some of my favorite moments with drag in general in real life too, because it's not just on TV. So I remember I started watching Drag Race, like there was a few of the early seasons on like Netflix or Hulu or something, and I was sick and me and my mother actually like binge watched it back in the day. I think that was right, it was probably on season 4 or 5 at that point. We watched like the first 2, maybe 3 seasons. We just sat down and like watched them all over the course of like 2 days because we were both sick. That was kind of the first time me and my mother had bonded over something that involved the gay community, which is really important because I had just kind of recently come out as gay. So some of my favorite drag moments, I go to drag shows pretty often. DC is a pretty good spot for them. I try to go when I travel too, especially in the last like year or so. I really try to make a point to. My local queen is Tatiana. I love me some Tatiana. I see her out and about all the time. One of my favorite moments off the show with Tati was seeing her perform See Me With Them Hands for like the first time performing it live. It was like the day after the song had hit iTunes. I remember I was like sitting on the train going to meet my friend because I was like, we have to go to town tonight. Tatiana's gonna be there. Like she's home. She's not out of town for once, and I know she's gonna do this song, and we have to be there. Otherwise, she usually does Britney tracks, which like I'm all for as well. I was like sitting on the train listening to See Me With Them Hands, and I was like kind of inadvertently lip syncing it to like anybody who was like watching. There was like 2 other people on the train. So I'm like lip syncing it, and this heterosexual man who is probably almost 50 is just looking at me, and he was like petrified. Like he was so scared, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, alright, I can scare heteros with this. I'm into it. Otherwise, Tati's lip sync against Alyssa when Tati was blonde. That blonde wig though, girl, that was golden. Literally. But that was one of my favorite lip syncs. It's a recent memory, of course, but that one was just so good. That was one of those lip syncs when you're like, yes, they deserve to be here. Because a lot of the lip syncs, they're like, you're either like, why did they pick this song? Or you're like, why did they pick these queens? Because I feel like if you're going to be a drag queen, you have to be able to lip sync. Like that is what the culture is kind of based on, in my opinion. At least all of my early experiences, it's all lip syncs and shows at clubs. You have to be able to do it. Learn to do it. Please. Another great moment about that Tati versus Alyssa lip sync is, of course, that both of them won. That's always, heartwarming. But I also just love Fifi, pregnant Fifi, sitting in the back, just like, shoot, that's how that's done. Some quick moments that I really love. Pretty much all of Raja's looks. Like, that was kind of like the first fashion queen that I saw on the show, and I remember being like, yes, like, no titties, like, super androgynous no matter what, like, just super out there, National Geographic style, wild looks. Like, I lived for Raja. Definitely, like, as a fashion queen, that's one of my favorites. There's also all those times that Katya is like, I'm not sure I can do the splits while I'm doing this or doing that or standing on someone's shoulders. And it's like, girl, we know you know. We know you can do those splits. Like, you can do the splits anywhere. I saw a picture of you doing splits, like, across a staircase the other day. I don't know what you're made out of, but you're not a human being. Because I used to be able to do the splits. I used to be really flexible. And I could never do that. Never in a million years. Maybe if I worked harder, but I ain't got that time. Another favorite lip sync is Juju versus Raven when they're lip syncing to Robin, and they're just like breaking down. It's like such a friend moment, and sadly Juju, kind of hyperventilated and got kind of sick after that, but I totally like felt that moment like early back in the early seasons, and it was just like, I want a friend like that. I want someone who's gonna like cry with me on stage because they don't want to send me home, and I want to cry on stage because I don't want to send them home, and I want with someone, even though it's someone that, you know, is in the same realm as me. Having a friend that you can have so many things in common with, but not let competition get in the way, like, that is really rare. And it's nice to see that. Otherwise, some of my, like, favorite recent looks, of course, Tati in the blonde wig, most of Raja's looks. I love, love, love Katya's, like, swimmer ensemble with, like, the head cap. I also love her, like, Swedish IKEA mom tracksuit look. That is, like, a forever goal. If I were to, like, see something similar at a thrift store, I would probably buy it. And I would probably never wear it out of the house, but I would wear it around the house for damn sure. Low Key Stan Alaska. Her album is some of my favorite music. CoverGirl was actually low-key my favorite song when I was like 9. I had no clue who RuPaul was. I had no clue what a drag queen was. But I remember like walking around with like my CD players on some soundtrack. I think it was the Lizzie McGuire movie soundtrack. And I remember walking around my front yard like with like my CD player and like my little headphones, like walking around to it like, CoverGirl, good girl. Like, I lived for it. My parents, my entire neighborhood probably knew at that point that I was gay, but I didn't yet. Probably should have. I didn't know really what that meant though. I was like 9. Some other like real life favorite moments. Of course, I love going to see my local queens at town. Mostly is the main part in DC, the main club in DC where they perform. I also saw a really good drag show at Eastern Bloc in Manhattan not long ago. I believe the queen's name was Princess Bitch. It was a fun show. I remember I walked into the club and I turned to my 2 friends and I'm like, it smells like a cum rag in here. Well, we're gonna have a good time. And it was like a really cute little venue and the queens weren't like really far away. Like they were really close to the crowd, so that was really fun. And in between numbers, they would just kind of like chat with people and dance around, which was really fun. I hadn't really seen a club like that before. I also saw a really good show in Nashville. I believe the club was called Play. It was like a Halloween show because it was like a week before Halloween. I saw one of the local queens did like a zombie Amy Winehouse. And she performed Rehab, and it was so good. So good. Like, me and my best friend from high school were sitting there and we were just like, yes, like, yes, Amy, we love you. But that was a really good show. It was Hocus Pocus themed, which, like, come on. How can you go wrong with Hocus Pocus plus drag queens? It's a match made in heaven. Like, Halloween's my favorite holiday. I wish this happened all year round. Otherwise, you know, we see a lot of drag queens on social media, of course. It's kind of our main exposure for a lot of things nowadays. I remember one of my first interactions ever with a drag queen on social media. My partner at the time, I let him do my makeup for the first time. And I was like, just do like something really basic. And I referenced chapstick and mascara, the short little video from Courtney Act. So he did like a chapstick and mascara look. And I like tweeted a photo. He was like, you should tweet a photo to her. So I tweeted this photo. It was in the food court of the mall. Like the lighting was awful. And I was like kind of strategically cropping out my Chick-fil-A that was like half eaten. Which, you know, that's dedication when you put down your Chick-fil-A to take a photo to tweet a drag queen. But I tweeted it and I added Courtney, and she responded, "Oh my God, will you marry me?" And I think my partner at the time was really peeved because he was so much more immersed in the culture than me at that time. And that was the first time I had ever interacted with a queen on social media, and I got a marriage proposal. And we tweeted about how she was going to be at this big reunion show in Orlando, but he and I were going to be in LA, and we were going to miss her, and la-di-da-di-da, and she was trying to like help us find tickets in case we could make it, and things like that. So that was a good memory. That was like that was when I was not really active on Twitter yet. I just out of the blue tweeted Courtney Act. Another good memory on social media is when I posted a photo of me in a jockstrap that Extra Face made for me. My friends over at Extra Face, which is this great little creative duo in Paris. They do photography, and they collaborate with a designer in South Africa to make like jock straps and club wear and things like that. So I tweeted a photo. I think they're friends with Naomi Smalls as well. And she responded with a single emoji. It was the fire emoji. And I remember thinking, what's up? What's up, Naomi Smalls? I see you. But no, I was pretty shook because she's like one of my new faves. She's like the complete opposite of me. Like tall, dark, and beautiful, and I'm like squat and pale. That's basically what I am, let's not lie. But, no, she's a sweetie. Her and I have chatted a bit after that. Another good moment, I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of queens, you know, casual run-ins with Tati. She's my local queen, so that happens. But, I got to meet Katya at Orlando Pride. After moving back to DC, I drove back down to Orlando to do Pride, and, I told Katya, I was like, I got a couple little bitches in my head, and they do not shut up, and yeah, you're not alone. Like, I got a couple of voices. I got Becky and her whole crew up here. There's one of the local queens loves me. Apparently one day we were really, really drunk, and we have like this inside joke now where she like wants to dress up as a pirate and put me on her shoulder and feed me martinis like I'm a parrot. I must have been plastered. Like, I must have been smashed. Because I don't remember that. But it's like an inside joke now between us. But yeah, so those are some of my drag-related stories. Some of them RuPaul's Drag Race related. Some of them Drag Race girls in real life related. Some of them just real-life drag stories. I really love to go see the shows in DC. I'm super excited. I'll be back up in New York in like a week. So I'll hopefully see some good drag shows while I'm up there. And then, of course, DragCon. It's happening. It's like 6 weeks away. I'm super stoked for it. It's going to be sloppy. I can't wait for the after parties and all the various shenanigans that will be had. But tell me some of your favorite drag queens, some of your favorite Ru moments, some of your favorite real life moments. Anything drag related, let me know. Teach me. I'm still learning. I still got a lot of queens to find out about.